I'm digital correspondent Sarah Macias here with Dr. Johnson. Today we are talking about mold. Dr. Johnson, it's been a hot summer. So tell me, can it make you sick?
Definitely, and particularly when it grows indoors, because now we have very few air exchanges in the house. They're sealed up. If you get dampness in the house and then it's hot, mold likes hot, damp environments. And so mold will grow. Now, what happens when that mold grows? It produces spores, which cause allergy. Some molds produce chemicals, which are called toxins, and affect the nervous system. And then if you have a great enough mold growth and it's really excessive, you can get infected. So you can get mold spores in your lungs, like aspergillus, and you get aspergillosis. So all these things can make you feel sick. Sometimes you may just feel tired or fatigued.
Okay. And is it possible that some people may not even realize that they have mold in their house or in a building that they work in, and it can still affect us?
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, people are aware there's something going on, and there may be a musty smell or a damp smell or a putrid type smell. And that may be where wood has gotten wet, sheetrock's wet, there's been a kind of a leak from the air conditioner or a leak from a leaky pipe, or even just sweaty pipes sometimes, because they'll run pipes through this attic and they're cold water, water condenses and then it drips on the ceiling, and then mold grows, particularly in commercial type settings. So you have to be aware of what's around you. And if it doesn't look right, smell right, and you're not feeling good, then you need to start asking questions about, well, what's going on here? Is there mold growing? Is there dampness growing? And then sometimes people try to use chemicals to clean it up, and you can react to the chemicals that are actually used in cleaning products to try to kill the mold.
Okay, so if someone does have mold in their house, what is the best way to get rid of it?
Well, the best way is to remove all the damp materials and then sweep the whole facility with a HEPA vacuum, which picks up mold spores and filters them out. And then use the top quality air filters on your furnace. So you get the most expensive air filters that I think now it's 1900 is the rating on those microparticle filters.
Are there a certain type of people who are more prone to getting sick from mold, like older people, younger people, or it can affect anybody?
Yeah, that's a real good question. People that have allergies are more prone to reacting to indoor allergens such as dust mites or molds. If your immune system is compromised, then yes, you are more prone to reactions. As you get older, your immune system does decrease in its effectiveness many times. And if you have chronic illnesses, you may be more susceptible. So the message is if you feel bad when entering a building or entering your home, and better when you're away, like you're away on vacation for a week, come back and enter your home, and your eyes start to itch, your nose runs, you wake up fatigued, you swell, then there's probably something going on with your home that you need to look into, creating a poor health situation.
Okay. And before we go, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Definitely. If you're sick, then you really need to see a physician, such as myself, that's familiar with allergies and mold and toxins, to sort out what is the problem and to give you some guidance on what type of assessment to do on your house and on you as a person, so that health can be achieved.
Okay. And before we go, would you like to give us your website or phone number if anyone wants to get in touch with you?
Yes, the phone number is 972-479-0400, and the website is johnsonmedicalassociates.com.
It may have just been a few years ago that Seattle Children's came out publicly to address patient deaths linked to Aspergillus mold found in the hospital. But the cases really go back more than 20 years with several deaths linked to the mold contamination. It was back in 2019 when King 5 investigators requested those public health records, beginning when Seattle Children's first came out publicly to admit it had an ongoing problem with patients being infected by Aspergillus mold in its operating rooms. Now, a Division I Court of Appeals judge ultimately ruled there was nothing barring the release of those records. We spoke to one of at least 24 patients who have sued the hospital over the years. One of them is Athena. Back in 2013, she suffered an Aspergillus mold infection, but the hospital didn't tell her or her family it may have been acquired while in the operating room.
I just that there needs to be some sort of accountability. Kids died. There were steps that the hospital could have taken back in the 90s. Why did we cut those corners?
Again, today's jury selection is for a trial, the first of any of these cases to go to trial, involving a 2-year-old boy who may have been allegedly infected with Aspergillus mold while undergoing a procedure here at Seattle Children's. So you'll want to stay with King 5 today and going forward. We're going to keep you up to date for every step of this trial. Live in Seattle, Farah Jabber, King 5 News.
Arkansas, go!
The Stone household is in a constant state of motion.
There is always something moving here. We always have something happening.
Thanks to 6-year-old Liam and his siblings.
Whoa, what is that thing?
You seem to move a lot.
Yeah.
But one thing ground to a halt this week.
We gotta talk about your surgery. Yes. Yes.
Liam's surgery on his tonsils and adenoids.
He was supposed to have both of them removed to open up the airways to help him breathe better, because his asthma attacks happen when he's sleeping usually.
Children's Hospital postponed that surgery after discovering Aspergillus mold in its operating rooms. One patient died and 5 others were infected in the past few years.
It is the worst thing that you can think of.
Especially scary for Liam's family since he has a mold allergy.
It would cause a lot of problems for him. Actually, I couldn't even imagine what would happen if it got into his airways. Fungal pneumonia, and then him trying to come back from that with already such a compromised system from the asthma and then from surgery. It would be horrible. I can't imagine.
Now, they're working to get his surgery scheduled at another hospital before wildfire smoke arrives.
I'm ready!
And delays surgery more. Caitlin says she would go back to Children's someday.
Hopefully. They seem to be working on it, and they seem to be working really hard on it.
But these cases of mold infections have left her with concerns.
On one hand, we live in Washington and mold happens. On the other, it's supposed to be a very sterile place and a safe space. You're literally trusting them with your life. They're in that operating room cutting open your kids. So, I mean, that's a lot of trust to let them do that, and then all of a sudden those kids are in danger. I'm gonna teach her how to play soccer.
She just wants to make sure that Liam can keep moving. Michael Crow, King 5 News.
So as mentioned, this story came from our social media group, the closed one, called the Hive. If you'd like to join the group, it's very simple. Just text the word Hive to 206-448-4545. Well, the situation is alarming, but keep in mind, Aspergillus is extremely common. It's all over our environment. We encounter it almost every day in household dust, garden soil, in compost. We breathe it in all the time. The problem is when people with compromised immune systems are exposed. Here's Dr. Joel Kaufman from UW Medical Center.
The truth is that the amount that's floating around in hospitals in general isn't that different than the amount that's floating around other places. What's different in hospitals is that you can get many more people who have these immune function abnormalities, people who have just had chemotherapy or a bone marrow or stem cell transplant that sets them up for having an immune system that's not going to fight off the infection.
He says there are treatments available, but in some cases, as we saw at Children's, the symptoms are too extreme to clear up. But most people with healthy immune systems shouldn't worry. If you want to read more about the story, just text the word mold to 206-448-4545.
Tonight, a woman in a Midtown apartment complex says she's living in unsafe and unhealthy conditions.
After making calls to several local agencies for help, she called News Channel 8 to stand up for what's right. Our own Lily Cummings spoke with her.
Lily, what were the conditions in her home?
Well, take a look at these photos she shared with us, Neely and Mark. They show just how close she was living to this mold right next to her bed. So we called someone she hadn't talked to yet to figure out why the complex continues to flood and causes this issue. Her city councilor. At the Contempora Apartments near 15th and Memorial, things from the outside look okay. It's what's growing inside that makes Dynisha Huey worry for herself, her husband, and 5 kids.
The mold, they just paint it over instead of properly fixing it or taking down the walls to fix it. It floods. It literally floods in our apartments. The water gets so high that you can kick your feet in the water and it's like a pool of water.
Huey says things have gotten so bad she received this notice from the Housing Authority saying they won't pay for their portion of her rent anymore. It says the apartment continues to be in non-compliance with HUD's housing quality standards and lists the repairs needed.
I've contacted legal aid, I've contacted Section 8, I've contacted the health department.
One person she didn't call was her city councilor, so we put them in touch.
I got to see Mullen Plumbing come out, clear a line. I had the city of Tulsa out here inspecting the pipes for any blocks on our end.
Within 30 minutes, the city finding their side of things look fine and suspecting the flooding is being caused by something that needs repairing by the folks who manage these and the Red Fox apartments next door. Now that the councilor is aware of this and other issues around the property, he says he's working to make it right.
I met with the management company about all the issues that they've been dealing with here recently.
In the meantime, Huey is speaking up for all the folks living there who feel neglected.
We have suffered for a long time. We have suffered. I've been here 3 to 4 years and it's horrible.
Now Section 8 is working to move her family elsewhere, but until then, she says she's paying her entire rent for this. We talked with someone at the apartments about the mold you see, but they didn't have any comment. The counselor says to reach out to your Tulsa City Councilor via email or contact 311 to get in touch with folks that can help you if you need to report a problem. Lily Cummings, News Channel 8.
Lily, thank you.